Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Colorfield by 25th Century Games.
Colorfield is a drafting game in which you are going to be matching a color pattern or a color field on your board in which you're painting some sort of portrait with this game. And what you're trying to do is draft particular tiles that line up with the different colors matching the pattern on your board for maximum points in this game. This is a really quick game, easy to understand, but we're going to go down to the table. I'll explain to you how this one works, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have Colorfield on the table. Let me show you all about this painting-themed pattern building game in which you are going to be laying these tiles that you see over here on the right side of your screen onto your board. Now with this game, what you do have lots of tiles. As you can see, they're going to say either foundation, round 1, round 2, or round 3 on the back of the tiles. They'll look similar to the tiles you see out here on the other side. You do have a main board that is a palette board, and on one side you do have the smeared paint on it, and then on the other side it's clean. Neither side matters. You can play on either side, but I like having the color side out there. You do have a scoreboard over here with some score markers. You have a first player token. You have some inspiration tokens in each of the player colors. You do have a deck of community tool cards, which are used in the advanced variant. We'll come back to that here in just a second. And then every player does have a discard tile card in your player color that you keep next to where you're playing. So I'm going to keep mine right here like this so you can see it on frame. Anyhow, what you will be doing in this game as part of setup, everybody will have a player board out here, and the different player boards do change a little bit. Here's some examples, and by change, what I mean is the colors on the outside edge are in a different pattern. As you can see, they are unique, and so they're all completely randomized. Not one board is better than the other, but the reason why that's important is because the tiles that you have, you're wanting to match up the colors. As you can see here, these two colors match, but you're also wanting to try and match the colors on the outside of the board too. So when you get these tiles at the beginning of the game, the foundation tiles that are right here on the bottom, they are going to have an arrow on them, and that arrow needs to point up. And so we're going to place them starting in box 1 and then going in numerical order. We're going to start placing them, making sure that the arrow is up. And so we're doing that real quickly here, and boom, we are ready to go. So my board might look like this at the beginning of the game, and you'll determine first player by whoever's painted something most recently, and you're going to load up this board out here with 3 tiles from whatever round it is. This game lasts 3 rounds, as you can see, and so we're going to put out 3 of round 1 tiles out here. Now, some of the tiles are going to look very similar to this. They won't have an arrow on them, but they may have 4 colors on them and nothing else. Other tiles may have a number, either a 2 or a 3 on it, and then other tiles may only have 3 colors on them, or may have it to where a color, as you can see, the turquoise color here is on both this edge and on this edge. There are going to be some tiles where the color goes all the way through the tile, like this one, for instance, where you can see the navy is going all the way through, and you've got some pink and some yellow on the sides. And so on your turn, it's very simple. What you'll be doing is you'll be selecting one of the tiles that are either out here on the board or drawing blindly off the top of this deck. And what I'm trying to do is, again, I'm trying to connect as many places on my board where the color extends off the tile and either onto another tile or on the edge of the board. And so this is getting me a point, this is getting me a point, that's getting me a point. So this tile would not be one that I would probably want to replace. I might want to replace this tile here, as the only connection that I have is right here on this edge. And so I select one of these tiles out here, and maybe I select, let's go with this, let's go with this tile. And so I take this tile and I can place it on my board. Now I can rotate this tile however I want, and so I might do that, might keep it like that because I've got this connection right here and I got this connection right here, or I might rotate it if there was a better placement, but once it's locked in my board, it's locked in. Now this tile that I'm replacing is going to go on this card onto my discard spot. And this is important because this card helps me to remember how far the round is advanced. Because in the first round, you are going to be selecting 5 tiles. So you will get 5 turns in the first round, and you'll keep track of that here with this card. And so that would be my first turn, and we would refill the board, and it would be the next player's turn, and it would go around and around, and it'd come back to me. Now, if I take one of these tiles that has a 2 on it, and maybe, let's say, place it, I'm not going to think about this too much, we'll place it right here. Now that I have this connection, it's going to score me 2 points on this particular connection. And so that's what the 2 means there. As you get into some of the further rounds, you'll see that there are 3s on some of the tiles. Let's see if I can find a 3. Nope, no 3s there. Let's see, is there a 3? There's a 3. And so that would get me 3 points for that particular tile. But that's the idea of the game. You'll keep refilling this board until everybody has taken 5 turns in the first round, and then in rounds 2 and 3, everyone will get 4 turns. So you're getting fewer turns in the later rounds of the game. Now, what's unique about this game is not only are you scoring points based off of these connections, but you will also be scoring points for all the tiles. And so what I mean by that is this connection right here not only scores me 1 point because of that connection, but I scored again with this tile. So I'm getting another point because of that connection. Hopefully that makes sense. So in other words, this connection right here would get me 2 points. This connection right here would actually get me 3 points because I'm getting 1 based off of this tile going this way, and then I'm getting 2 because of that 2 right there based off this tile going that way. And again, you do score the points for what's on the edge of the board, and you want to try to get as many connections, of course. Now, another way that you're getting points in this game is you're trying to make the biggest connection anywhere on your board. And so what I mean by that is if, in other words, let's pretend like this tile had been like that, and we've got this turquoise connection that extends on 3 different tiles. Because it goes on to 3 different tiles, I'm getting 3 points there. If it had connected to this tile, that would be 4 points. And if it connected to the edge of the board, that would be another point. And you could get that twice. If it starts on the edge of the board and if it ends on the edge of the board, you could count both edges for 2 more points to that. And so that's some extra points that you're getting on the end of the round. Now, there is a catch-up mechanic built into this game, and that is that whoever is leading after round 1, and you keep track of your score over here, that person's going to have to completely clear off their board, discarding everything, and drawing new foundation cards, loading up the board exactly how I showed you at the beginning of the video. And they're basically starting over their board completely fresh. And you're going to be doing that for whoever's in first at the end of round 1 and at the end of round 2. Whoever's in second, they get to keep 1 tile that was already on their board, any one that they want. They have to discard everything else. Whoever's in third gets to keep 2 tiles, and whoever's in fourth gets to keep 3 tiles. So that's the catch-up mechanic that allows you to keep some of the better tiles that are going to score you extra points, or maybe you've already built up a really nice connection that will hopefully allow you to get back in the game if you're lagging behind. Obviously, you'll play with round 2 tiles in round 2, and then you'll play with round 3 tiles in round 3. Now, you do have these inspiration tokens that you can spend throughout the course of the game. You do only have 3 of them, and they are one-time use. You spend it, you flip the tile over to show the unlit side, and you don't get it back for the rest of the game. But what it's going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to swap any 2 tiles that are on your board. You don't get to rotate the tiles. You have to keep them in their exact arrangement like that. Or the other thing that you can do is you can rotate 1 tile any manner that you want to. So I could rotate this tile all the way around to maybe connect these salmon colored tiles and make that connection right there. You get the idea. You can use these 2 on 1 turns, so I could swap 2 tiles and then rotate 1, spending 2 tokens at the same time. But anyhow, that's pretty much the gist of the game. The first player token does transfer over to whoever's in first place at the end of a round, and that player has to start. And then you see who has the most points at the end of the game to determine the winner. Now, you do have this community tools deck of cards. You're going to shuffle this up if you're playing with it. This is the advanced variant. You flip over one card, and it's going to basically give you something that kind of scrambles with the rules for that particular round. So, such as this one, all matched lemon tile edges score double. And so you really want to try to match these yellow edges to get double points in this particular round, and it would only last for that round. Another example, all matched navy tile edges score double. Let's see, let's get a different one out here. Choose a color and score 1 point for each matched edge of that color on the next player's painting. So you're choosing for the next player. Here's another example. When priming your canvas, that means when you're putting out these tiles out here on your canvas, you may place new tiles in any empty space. You typically have to do it in numerical order like I showed you. Anyhow, that's the gist of this game. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Color Field from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, this is a drafting game, and we tend to like drafting games on this channel here. And with this one, you're drafting these tiles, so I guess it is a tile laying game too, and you are trying to be clever about how you're placing these tiles on your board, because this is a pattern matching game where you're trying to see what colors are on your board, whether that be other tiles that are on your board or the edge of your board, and you're just trying to match these colors and making them match as much as you can in this game. It's a very simple concept. What was it like for you as a non-gamer playing this game?
I mean, I really like tile laying, and then the abstract pattern matching quality of it, I think, is something that I would enjoy regardless of gamer or non-gamer. It's something that I like in a game. But yeah, I mean, it's very simple to understand. It's you see it, you can physically see it, and I think that is a good game for a non-gamer because they can see what they're doing. It's not a in the future thought as you play each piece.
Yeah, you don't have to think too far down the line. Yeah.
There is definitely points of frustration where you're like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this. You can only do one of those things each turn, so you need to figure out what's going to bring the biggest reward, but you can't get everything you want.
Certainly, yeah. And I think the thing that kind of makes this be a game that's just a rote experience where it's like, oh, I'll just draft the one that's the best one for me right now. And sometimes you're like, well, there's none of them that really work for me, so I'll just take blindly off the top of the deck. Like, the thing that makes it from being just a going through the motions are those inspiration tokens. I think they're the light bulb tokens, right? Like, you can only do it 3 times throughout the course of the game, and you spend them to be able to move some things around on your board or to rotate things on your board. Yeah. And that, I think, makes the game more interesting than it would be without that, for certain, right? Like, it would just be kind of any other drafting tile placement game without that.
I tended to wait till the very, very end, and I don't know if that was the best.
Well, I mean, you only have 3 of them, right? Yeah. And so you're going to be placing a bunch of tiles.
I think I ended up not even using...
Oh, man.
Not using some of them.
I feel like every time I've played it, I've used all of them because I feel like those are just so important with this game. And that's where I feel like a lot of the fun and the strategy with this game comes in at, is that, okay, I've got this plan of what I want to do. I might have to spend 2 tokens on one turn.
My problem is I'm so visual, too. I'm like... I want to pick the ones that work with what I currently have, and so flipping them doesn't work with my plan. It
feels like you're betraying your portrait a little bit. Yeah,
so...
Yeah, for sure. I get that. But, I think that's the fun with this game. And then you do have that module where you can have the extra cards added into it. I can't think of what those are called right now, but watch the rules portion of the video. That definitely adds some extra spiciness with some extra stuff that you can do with the game. But as the base game stands, I think those inspiration tokens are so vitally important. Now, I do love the way the game looks, too. I think that palette board that you're going to be putting the tiles on is really kind of cool, because you can have it be blank on one side or with the color on the other side, and I think that's a cool aspect to the game. But even just the board itself, with your personal board with those color tiles, I think it looks pretty interesting. Looks, like maybe some sort of abstract painting would look like. So, pretty cool. Okay, so let's get to pros and cons here for color field. Sam, what for you stands out as a positive thing with this game?
I mean, I think I said most of them already, but just being able to physically see what you're doing. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you're seeing what you're doing as you're doing it. There's no holding on to cards and waiting to play it to see how they played theirs. You have your own board, you're playing it, you're seeing it come to life in front of you. So that explanation of the game doesn't need a whole lot of clarity because you can see it.
And I think that produces a chill-like experience.
Yeah.
Because you're not having to stress about, well, what is that person going to be?
Yeah.
So, like, some people probably hear that and they're like, well, there's not much player interaction. And maybe that's maybe true with this game. There's really not any player interaction. And if that's something that's a problem for you, then you just got to be aware of that with this game. But I think with non-gamers, that's probably a positive, right?
Yeah.
What else stands out to you in a good way?
I mean, I think all the aspects of the game is pretty unique to the painting artistic vibe. I think they did a good job with how the cards look and how the thing in the middle looks.
The palette board.
Yeah, the palette board. Yeah. And even the other side of the cards do as well. So I think just visually it's a good game. Yeah,
it definitely looks cool on the table. Some of the things that we typically try to focus in on here on Love to Hate, it's 20 to 45 minutes, which again, I think that's the perfect sweet spot when you're talking about family weight games, right there at the 30-minute mark. 45 minutes is, kind of the top end of the spectrum there on that. Ages 10 and up, so I think this is definitely, I mean, we played it with our kids, and they had a great time with it, so definitely a great family weight game with that in mind. Anything about this one that maybe doesn't work so great for you?
I don't know. I think maybe if I don't necessarily like a point salad, but maybe if there was a few more ways to get points.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe by not using your tiles, if that could gain you points, because I would have gotten them. Or maybe something where you could change your border slightly, because you are limited to just the cards you choose. Everything on the outside stays the same each round.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's not a huge negative at all, but maybe just little things that could help beef it up a little bit.
I think for me, and I think you're right, like maybe just adding like one or two more ways that points can be come by, right? Because you're just kind of doing the same thing every round, every 3 rounds, right? And that is, I want to try to match up the colors, and I want to try to have the longest like color region that they're all the same, right? Yeah. It's just those two things. And maybe if there was a third option that was just standard, like I know with those extra cards there are extra ways that you can spice up that, but if there was like a standard thing that kind of made it another little layer that you had to consider with the game, that would be kind of interesting to add into it. One other thing that maybe I might throw out there is so the way the rounds are reset, right? It's done in that manner as a catch-up mechanic, so that the players who aren't doing as great can have a chance to kind of do better in the next round, because the person who is doing the best has to basically start over their entire board, right? And so while I like that and I think that's a good idea, I don't know if it's super effective.
No, it didn't. I still lost, and I was losing.
Well, and I think that's what we found in a lot of our games, that whoever was doing good in the beginning just kept doing well. And I don't know if that's necessarily like the game just... I don't know that the game necessarily inclines for that to happen. It could just be that people who are good at this game are just good at this game.
Yeah.
And maybe the resetting isn't enough, is what I'm trying to get at. And so the catch-up mechanic just wasn't enough to really kind of make a huge effect.
Yeah. So you could probably take it out and still have the same
Exactly.
results.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think you could maybe make it a bigger thing. Like if you wanted to house rule it, where like the person who is in second, instead of only getting to keep 1 tile, got to keep 2 tiles or even 3 tiles or whatever. I mean, you could do that if you wanted, I suppose. But I think that's just kind of one thing that we experienced with the game is that it was an interesting idea. I don't know if it was super effective.
Yeah.
So. Okay, let's get to our scores here with Color Field. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where's this one come in at for you?
I liked it. It's definitely a game I would play again, and I think it's easy enough to explain to play with other gamers, which is always something I'm cognizant of. I would probably give it a 7.4.
Okay, all right, fair score. I'm right around in the same ballpark. I was thinking 7.2 on this one. I like the game. There's not much that I don't like about it, and knowing that it is a game that's geared for family weight games. I mean, the box basically says that ages 10 and up, 20 to 45 minutes. You know that going into it. I think it hits the nail on the head, right?
Yeah.
Like, our family has really enjoyed this game, and so it does what it set out to do. Is it a game that I think is going to be one that I want to pull off the shelf every night? No, but that's not what I would typically do with any family game. So, but Colorfield, in and of itself, I think it's a pretty fun game, and it's definitely going to hit well with a lot of folks, especially in that family crowd. So, the game is Colorfield. It is from 25th Century Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.